Welcome to The Better Part. Today on our show, we have representatives from a wonderful organization called Operation Freedom Paws. We have 3 smooth guests and 3 furry guests, so you want to stay tuned for this wonderful show today. Welcome to The Better Part, a program that encompasses a diverse spectrum of topics important to our community, which we hope will both inform and entertain you. We invite you to sit back and enjoy the program. I'm Susan Davis, host of The Better Part. Today we have in the studio with us some really wonderful guests. I'm so honored to have 3 representatives from the organization called Operation Freedom Paws, and we have the furry guests that are their companions and their service dogs. So we have with us Mary Cortani, who is the founder and the executive director of Operation Freedom Paws. And Mary, you have brought with you your special companion that I would love you to introduce, as well as our other guests.
Okay. Well, I've brought with me today CJ, who's a very special dog. He's my personal dog, and he is also a service dog who demonstrates service dog tasks. In addition to that, I have Jeff, who is a mentor trainer in our program with his service dog Lobo, and Janet, who is a mentor trainer with her Peanut Pity, Miss Clover.
Well, welcome all 3 of you, all 6 of you. This is such an honor to have you with us because this organization is very, very special. And I had the great privilege of going down to your facility and observing a few weeks ago. And I was incredibly impressed and I was incredibly moved by what I saw happening there. And so I'm really excited about having you share that with our viewers today. So Mary, I would love you to talk about, you have actually been honored with the CNN Top 10 Heroes Award, which is a great honor. And you're such a humble and wonderful person. So I don't expect you to talk about the award, but what I would love you to talk about is a little bit about your background and why you started this wonderful organization, Operation Freedom Paws.
Wow. The CNN recognition is amazing, and I'm forever honored and humbled for that. The reason Operation Freedom Paws came into existence was for several reasons. First, I'm a veteran myself, so I've served for 9 years in the military in a different era. But I had been in corporate America, working, in the private sector, had left that and was reinventing myself, kind of similar to when I left the service. And in the service, I learned to train dogs. That was what I did. I was an MP and a canine handler and a canine instructor. Always been my passion. I've had animals in my life since I was knee-high. When I decided I was going to reinvent myself, I went back into dog training for the public on a full-time basis because it's what I love to do. I received a phone call from a Marine who was desperate, and you could hear it in his voice over the phone that this was kind of his last reach out. That the desperation and the pain was so great. He had been looking for a service dog for several years, had tried to get one from the traditional service dog organizations, was put on waiting lists, and decided that because the American Disabilities Act says you can train your own, he was looking for a trainer to work with him. And we had a very lengthy conversation, and it intrigued me to look into it further to find out what the issues were that our men and women were facing coming home. It's different today, but yet it's the same from conflicts in the past. And the more that I talked to him, and it was more conversations, it was more phone calls, and he wanted a specific type of dog. He wanted to get a Rottweiler. And I understood his reasoning for it because he wanted that safety and security. But it sent me on a journey to discover what post-traumatic stress was, what a traumatic brain injury, what military sexual trauma. These were the issues that were on the surface that were invisible to the eye, that weren't your typical mobility issues. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, there's got to be a better way to do this. You know, I don't want to invent the wheel, but I want to make the wheel better. And the traditional waiting lists can be anything from 2 to 3 years long because of the breeding program. Well, I pulled from my life experience, I pulled from my military experience, because when I was in the military, we went on what we called buy trips, and we'd go around the country and we would pull dogs out of shelters and use them as military working dogs if they had the right temperaments and characteristics and drive to be a working dog. And I said, why can't we do that today? You know, I'm going to be able to pull a heck of a lot more dogs than if I were to breed, which is the traditional model. So I looked at that, looked at what this young Marine wanted, and we set off on this journey. Within a matter of a couple of weeks of actually getting that Rottweiler puppy for him and talking to a few of the local organizations at the VA centers and trying to gather information, and realize there was really no support. The VA system was writing, you know, different doctors and therapists were writing letters and prescriptions basically for these men and women to be able to have a service dog, but there's no pharmacy to go fill it. And within that little bit of conversation and starting, it went from 1 Marine to 3 veterans within a matter of 2 to 3 weeks. Wow. And then I started trying to do research on the statistics, and the statistics, you know, 3 years ago were mind-boggling. They're even more mind-boggling today, but it was 1 in 4 or 1 in 5, depending on what report you were reading. And that was just with respect to post-traumatic stress. It wasn't talking about the traumatic brain injuries or the military sexual trauma. So that started the journey, and it was out of the public-facing dog training business. And very quickly we realized I couldn't keep funding it out of life savings and begging and borrowing from family and friends and what was coming in on the public dog training side, that we had to form a nonprofit. So we formed a nonprofit, and this September the nonprofit will be 2 years old, which we're very proud of. In that time, so we look, you know, we're looking at 3 years, and in 3 years we went from, you know, 1 Marine to 128 clients today, and we're constantly adding. I have another 9 applications on my desk.
And there's so much need out there. The veteran need is huge, as well as the civilian need. Post-traumatic stress disorder affects a lot of people. And to think that you are rescuing people by rescuing dogs, I mean, this, to me, this is an incredible thing that you're doing. And these wonderful guests that we have here today are all examples of dogs that were in shelters that have been matched to their handler, their trainer, their person, their smooth friend. So I think this is just an incredible service that you're doing to for so many people. And we have also with us 2 people that I had the pleasure of meeting when I went down there. Jeff has Lobo here. And honestly, I mean, look at these guys. They are incredibly well behaved. They are just doing absolutely nothing but being there for you guys. And we had an interview or a conversation when we were down there that impressed me incredibly about your story and how what the transformation that happened for you. Would you mind sharing that with our listeners and our audience?
No, absolutely. Before I found Mary in Operation Freedom Paws, I'd been struggling with PTSD for many years, undiagnosed. And in 2010, some events forced me to go back to the VA and start getting treatment, and started reading a little bit and hearing a little bit about service dogs. And in my own life experience, I've had other animals that helped me a lot. When I first got out of Iraq, I found another dog named Smiley, and he saved my life. He gave me a focus and gave me something to work for and something positive in my life, to where I was not hiding in my house, or I was uncomfortable to stay home. I was uncomfortable to go out, and keeping the bad thoughts and the nightmares. And he helped me just being there. And I lost him in 2009. And after a short time without one, I realized that I have to get another dog. And I started searching for the right personality. I was looking for one that was really calm, but generous and connecting, and just a lot of traits specific that I was looking for. And I ran across Lobo online with a rescue group. And he was in a hard time himself. He had signs of heavy abuse. He was afraid of everything. He was underweight, had open wounds on his side. But something connected. And as soon as I sat down amongst a group of other dogs, he took one look at me, came over and laid down in my lap. So we kind of picked each other. And shortly after that, I had found out about Mary and Operation Freedom Paws and contacted Mary, and she met us both and said, "Oh yeah, you guys are the right pair," and offered to help us, and it's been life-changing.
Well, watching you work with Lobo and help train the other people who come to Operation Freedom Paws, you are a real leader, and you have the connection that you have with Lobo and the connection that you have with the other people is awesome. You found the right family. And I think that was something that was really impressed me, is that this is beyond community. It's a family. What you have going there is very, very special. The connection that the people participating have with each other, the connection they have with their dogs, the connection they have with the leadership, you guys, is phenomenal. So kudos to you. I mean, this is just amazing. And I would love, I know that Janet talks about Mary's ability to match dogs and
I call
people.
her the alchemist.
The alchemist. So tell us how that works. I mean, you have well, when I was down there were 14, I think, shelter dogs that were being introduced to the organization. And how do you figure out who goes with what, or who goes with who?
I wish I could say this is the formula and here's the step by step, but they're really, it's a combination of things. When we look in the shelters and we look at the dogs that would be a good fit for the program, and when I say program, that is to be a service dog. We're looking for certain things. We're looking for personality. We're looking for temperament. We're looking for what we call drive, which has to do with play or prey or the interaction. Are they more interested in other dogs, or are they more interested in human contact? Because the human-canine bond is one of the most amazing things that can occur, and we evaluate that. But in that evaluation, we have to look beyond other things. We have to look beyond kennel stress. We have to look beyond what their previous situation was, right? Because we look at, in my world, I look at the dog's behavior as being learned behavior. And I equate it to that of a child. From the time that it's born until it hits about 7 years of age is learning behavior. So that's the most influential piece of a child's development in what they're going to do and how they're going to deal with situations. Well, that's learned behavior. In order to change that, we have to teach a new learned behavior. Well, with dogs it's similar, but it's a little bit different because they live in the moment. They don't hang on to the past in the way that humans do with emotions. They hang on to it because of it being learned behavior. Dogs will do one of two things. They will react out of instinct or out of what they've been taught, and that's that learned behavior. So if we can get beyond what we're seeing and say, what is the core? What is really the essence of this animal? Then we can make that determination, especially with the drive. How much do they want to connect with us? That's the first piece. The second piece is pulling from life's experience. We are not therapists, clinicians, doctors, any of that. But my life's experience in the military and my life experience in working in corporate America, you get into management and you get into leadership, and in the old days, which I think is a shame that it's gone by the wayside, but in the old days, we were taught about leadership and we were taught about getting to know the person that you're going to manage. Read their body language. What type of a personality are they, right? And there were different tests and scales, whether it was a color or a number or a letter, right? Depending on which one you went. But it gave you insight as to what that person was about and how you could communicate and interact with them. But there was another piece that I learned along the way, and that had to do with body language and being able to interpret a person's body language as you were communicating with them. Because some people aren't very good at articulating, and they're very good at giving you what's going on with them with their body language. And it's that combination with stuff I can't even begin to explain in putting them together, because what you want to do is find the balance, because they're two souls who are going to heal each other here and be able to come into the present moment and live and take that step going forward, because the dog's not going to look back, right? Dogs never look to what's happened to them in the past. They look to the moment and what's happening to them right here and now. So from you can call it spiritual, you can call it whatever you want, healing perspective that isn't a pill, that isn't a therapist, that's a tool, and it really is a tool that can be used to help the individual who either is injured or has a disability to be able to take one step at a time going forward. And that is the gift they give us, is that moment. Because when we live in the moment, we can live for the future.
Beautiful. That was beautifully expressed. And what I saw there was that connection, that soul connection happening, and that healing happening. I spoke with Noel, who had only been in the program, or has only been in the program for 3 months, and to hear his description of where he was and what kind of dog he thought he wanted and needed, and how you matched him with his dog, who wasn't anything like he had imagined. He had thought he would be matched with a German Shepherd or a Pit Bull or a Rottweiler or some very macho kind of image dog. And instead, you matched him with a golden retriever, a golden lab. And oh my goodness, those two are just like...
And from the moment they met, they were.
It's beautiful to see, and the healing that has happened in just that 3-month period it's tangible. I mean, you see it in your front of your eyes. It's magic.
And that's, you know, I say my life is blessed every day because I get to work with amazing animals and amazing people, and I get to share in their journeys, in the triumphs and the successes and the struggles, but that's life. But one of the things I never imagined would come out of this program has to do with communication and connection back to their family. And you mentioned earlier how Operation Freedom Paws really has become a family. I know from my own experience in the military, there's a sense of camaraderie that you've got your battle buddy. You can say things without using words, that you know somebody's got your back. And I really never thought that I would get that same level of camaraderie, even though I've worked and built some amazing teams in my professional career. It wasn't the same. There was always one little element that was missing, and I could never figure out what it was. And then here, you know, Operation Freedom Paws comes into existence, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's there, but it's more intense. It's different than that camaraderie that I felt in the service. And I'm not quite sure why, other than we're connected in a way that's at a deeper level than just being a battle buddy, but yet we still know we're each other's battle buddy. We know we've got, you know, I will tell my veterans that I've got their 6. And if I say I've got your 6, you can take it to the bank. It's better than any gold bar you're ever going to get. I will do anything and everything in my power to make sure that you are protected and safe. And that has to do with honor and integrity. It's not about being wealthy and rich. It's about living up to that honor and that integrity. So I know I'll always be wealthy. And I can't explain it because it's something that came out of it that wasn't an intention. And the feedback from the family members is probably one of the things that keeps me going when it gets difficult sometimes, right? Because it's not always easy. We are facing challenges. But you hang on to things like when a 10-year-old girl comes up and throws her arms around you and says, "Thank you for giving me my daddy back." Or a wife who has been living with her husband, they've been married for 40 years. Her husband served in Vietnam, and she comes up and she says, "Thank you for giving me my husband back. I haven't seen him in years."
Wow.
You stop and you go, wow, that wasn't what we thought or we intended, but okay, we must be onto something because it's working.
Yeah.
You know, or as you shared with Noel 3 months ago, he and his wife were fighting, right? They weren't communicating. And now they're doing things together. And she has a better understanding of some of the struggles, and that he's not the only one, that there are others like him because she's now exposed to that.
Yeah.
So,
and she was there when I was there too, and getting to speak to her and hearing that from her. She credits Operation Freedom Paws to saving their marriage.
Wow.
And so,
See?
you know, the reach is incredible. And what I think it is love. I think what you have going on here is the connection and the love that is healing. It really is. It's an amazing thing. I see this incredible relationship that you have with Clover. Tell us about that. How did this happen?
I did not want a dog. We had a dog for 17 years that was absolutely wonderful, and but I wanted a dog fix. So I volunteered up at the Berkeley shelter. I wanted to work with an organization called Bad Rap that works with pit bulls, rehabilitates, does training, and does a lot of owner responsibility with pit bulls. So I went up I drove from Gilroy to Berkeley every Saturday for 5 months, and I was matched up with Clover to take her to training. Someone told us about the peanut detection dog that they had met down at Disneyland, and I said, Mary, you've taught dogs to find bombs and drugs. Can you teach Clover to find peanuts? And she said, well, she'll have to be a service dog, and you're going to have to do about twice as much work. And I thought about that. Okay, survive service dog training. And so I went to my allergist, and she said, let's give it a try. And she has really taken to it. She enjoys the work. She enjoys being around the other dogs. And the scent work has helped her become much more balanced. And what we see in her is her innate therapy dog has come out. And she's now really good with new veterans. When they come into the program, she'll snuggle up to them, and she likes to be demo dog sometimes if they're considering joining the program. And she's great with the reactive dogs that come into the program. She'll get close to them and lay down and be very calm, and it's sort of like, I understand where you're coming from. I've been there, but we don't do that in here. Uh-huh. And she's just turned into a fantastic dog. And I did it all by myself without any help from Mary.
And she's already saved you twice.
Yes, my girlfriend forgot and baked peanut butter cookies and put them in the cookie tin, and I thought Clover was just reacting to the food, and I kind of jokingly said to my friend, you didn't put peanut cookies in there, and she said, oh no, just peanut butter cookies.
Oh.
And I said,
we have to wrap this up. I could just talk to you guys forever, and I probably will be, because you have touched me. This organization has really touched me. And I know that there's things that you want to do, and I know that we need to talk about some of the ways that people can find out more about Operation Freedom Paws and what's coming up. I'm not sure that we can get into it at great detail, but I know that you have an incredible website, and that is www.operationfreedompaws.org. I encourage people to go onto that website and learn more about you, learn more about this organization and the things that are going on down there.
We also have a very active Facebook page. Lots of stories, lots of pictures,
yes.
Fun stuff.
Yes, so the Facebook page is Operation Freedom Paws. Mm-hmm. Just search for that and connect there. So thank you so much, all of you. I'm all teary-eyed here. This is great, and thank you for bringing the gang. They're incredible dogs doing incredible work, rescuing incredible people. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.